So perhaps I can go into the specific technicality, and give you all an overview. Let me share a whiteboard with you. All right. So if we look at the thought processes that everyone have, we can subdivide them into two major categories. So just to give you an overview of the thought processes, there are 8 different thought processes based on this psychological framework that I'm following. So this psychological framework is by someone called Carl Jung. Perhaps I can write that down.
Carl Jung.
Yeah, Carl Jung. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So this psychologist is the one who theorized that everyone makes use of 8 different thought processes, or he calls it cognitive functions. These 8 functions, they work differently. Some of them are on opposing ends of the spectrum. Some of the examples I picked up earlier, I picked out actually a couple. They are on opposing end of the spectrum. Even though they seem like they oppose each other, they do not exactly oppose each other. In fact, based on how I described things earlier, things that seems to oppose each other, they are supposed to work well with each other and integrate into each other. But the problem with everyone individually is that our bias towards one over the other causes us to see them to conflict with each other. And this things becomes worse when one of it we are more conscious of it and the other we are not so conscious of. So sometimes the conflict happens, we may not even be aware that it's happening. That's something that happens with us like every day, not just with one incident, but with every incident. Because this psychological construct is something that stays with us. And what caused these thought processes to be ordered and arranged in a particular manner is more of the experiences we have since young when we grow up. So whatever experiences we have that cause the use of certain thought processes to be lodged in one of the deeper consciousness of the brain, it causes to selectively focus and emphasize on the experiences we have to reinforce the way we use all these thought processes. This stuff may be a little bit advanced. Maybe I can go a little bit more into that later. For now, let's come back to the thought processes. So the 2 major thought processes are either observe or decide. Yeah. Is everyone still with me here? If you are, can you raise your hand? I think there's a raise hand function there to just let me know that you are still with. All right, thanks. Okay, then let me move on. So observing, everyone observe information, and we also decide based on opinion. Yeah. Does that make sense to everyone? Yep. So just based on this, before I go on, just based on people either observe, then make a decision, or already have a decision and then make observation to check the decision. Just looking at these 2 kind of differences, how would you think someone who's observed then decide? How do you think they would behave differently from someone who decide first then observe? So I will give everyone perhaps 3 minutes to think about it, and then you can actually write it down in the chat and then give me your thoughts on that.
Would people who observe be looking for role models or existing processes that have done somewhat achieve to some degree somewhat what they would like to achieve or think?
So compared to decide, if someone who decide first, how would it be different? How do you think it would be different?
Good question. They wouldn't need to do any necessary research or gain anybody's opinion.
Okay.
And would just decide for themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Is there a difference would observe be externally motivated and decide be internally motivated? Is there any crossover?
Oh, okay. I see one of an interesting answer. Yeah. Okay, I will go into that later. I think that guy is Adrian. Okay, so back to Joe now. Yeah, so someone says that people who observe first accept that they do not know everything. This is valid also. So So what Joe is saying is decide based on opinion. So there's so Joe's answer is based on if someone were to decide based on personal opinion, self-opinion, rather than looking at what's the collective opinion or the collective wisdom coming from everybody. Whereas if someone were to observe first, it's more to collect certain things first, maybe collect data or to do research on existing methodologies that already happen. Yeah. All these are valid. Yeah. Just to be a little bit clear about it, observe and decide. Yeah. It is basically perceiving and judging. This is what Jung's original works talks about actually. Just that I use the terms observe and decide instead, just so that it's more relatable to everyone. So the main difference is someone who observe, they are looking at information. So they might not have come to a decision or a conclusion yet. It's more of like things still needs some. They need something. They need information, either data or they need to know the trend and the pattern that's already going on before coming up with something like this, an opinion, to decide on something. So to make it clearer, what's the difference? Perhaps I can go on to tell you what's the difference here. Observe, because we are observing information. The two ways to observe information are either to organize or to gather. So someone who organize is someone who organize rather than gather. If you imagine there are like 3 or 4 cups over here, an organizer will want to arrange the cups very nicely, It has to be arranged like this way or maybe in a certain shape or pattern that he likes. So that's organizer. Gatherer is, the cups are here, They can be arranged in any way. It doesn't matter so long as all the cups are in place. So that's the main difference. So based on this description of an organizer and a gatherer, between organizer and gather, who do you think is the one who's more structured? Can you type either tell me or type it in the chat? Organizer, gatherer, who is more structured?
Sorry, Bingzi, you want us to tell us who you think we are?
Oh, what I mean is between organizer. Okay, so someone said organizer is more structured. So anyone else? So my question is between an organizer and a gatherer. One of them is more structured.
Okay.
Who do you think is more structured? So another answer coming in, organizer is more structured. And okay, if there are no more answers coming in, then I should go on. Okay, organizer creates structure, gatherer gets all info, which is okay. Cool. That's fair. Yeah. So I will go a bit more into that later. Yeah. In fact, the answer about it depends. Yeah. That's a sign of coherence, actually. Yeah. Yeah, good job on that.
Yeah. Stefan can't. Something's wrong with Stefan's mic or something like that. He only can chat today. Normally he's quite chatty. He only can chat in the chat box today. Normally he's quite vocal.
Okay, cool. So if you look at an organizer and a gatherer, one of them is an introvert, another is an extrovert. Yeah. So who do you think is the extrovert over here between the organizer and the gatherer? So someone who's structured, who's looking at things and making sure that everything is like well put together, So he's taking the time to make sure that things are done. Whereas the gatherer is someone who's like, okay, just take action first, and then we can actually sort things out later. So which one is the extrovert? So I've got a few answers. Stefan is not very sure. Yeah. Okay, so let me reveal to you the answer here. An organizer is, I see, confused. Okay, then let me clear the confusion over here. An organizer is introverted and the gatherer is extroverted. Yeah. So I will go a little bit more into introversion and extroversion later. So right now, I believe most people's most people's idea of an introvert and an extrovert is more of an introvert is someone who's so most people have this notion that an introvert is someone who's quiet, who doesn't talk much, or who's maybe shy in social environment, whereas an extrovert is the opposite. They easily open up to people, they easily speak, they are loud and things like that. So that's all those are valid. But as for why they are valid, that can be explained through whether an extrovert is a gatherer, or something else. There's something else. The answer lies in deciding, which I'm going to go into. So opinion, earlier Joe mentioned something about someone who decides, so they do not need to worry so much about whether it's an opinion that's formed by everyone or by most people. So that's basically deciding based on self-opinion. Whereas the opposite end of the spectrum of self-opinion is in fact tribe opinion. Or this tribe, it can simply mean a community. Extrovert recharges with other people and introvert recharges alone. That's valid also. In fact, that is a sign of self versus tribe. So in fact, between self and tribe, instead of getting you to think about which one, who is the introvert and who is the extrovert, I shall reveal to you the answer over here. So someone who's self above tribe is an introvert, and someone who's tribe above self is an extrovert. So really, you can see over here that an introvert, someone may be an introvert who's self above tribe, but can still be an extrovert, being a gatherer above organizer. So it's possible for someone to recharge on their own, but yet they are a gatherer and they go out, just gather stuff and get things before sorting things out. It's also possible for someone to be an introvert because he organizes more than he gathers, but at the same time, he's particular about what's the collective opinion that everyone has. So he prefers to form an opinion that's in line with everyone in the team, or even in line with at least 70 or 80% of this team.